Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian Lad, and I know you lads are waiting for my part 2 breakdown of Deadpool and Wolverine, but some news have just come out regarding the alternate storyline of this movie, and I think you lads have to know this. So without wasting any of your time, let's begin our video. Okay, so Rodney Fuentabella, a visual development supervisor who has worked on 24 Marvel projects including Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Moon Knight, recently shared an intriguing piece of early concept art for Deadpool and Wolverine. This artwork depicts Deadpool and Wolverine facing off against the Deadpool Corps. But if you notice, we can also see Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, Jennifer Garner's Elektra, Wesley Snipes as Blade, and Chris Evans as Johnny Storm the Human Torch. Meaning, the rumors that were speculating all over the internet that Ben Affleck could reprise his role as Matt Murdock were true. If Rodney Fuentabella had not been given specific instructions regarding these characters, it's unlikely he would have included them in his illustrations. Rodney wrote on his Instagram post, and I quote, "Here's an early concept illustration I did for Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine film. This was in the beginning stages of making the film, so a lot changed. But I wanted to show how epic and awesome this film could be at the time. I had a blast creating all the interactions between our heroes and the Deadpool variants. And writers of this movie, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, have confirmed that Daredevil was initially considered but ultimately dropped from the final script, and Ben Affleck was never approached. However, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider was considered, and Ryan Reynolds confirmed it himself in an interview with Collider.
Did you ever consider Nick Cage as Ghost Rider and using him in the movie?
Yes.
Did it come close?
Came to a conversation for sure. Yeah, but no.
That was
Oh, you're getting the good stuff. Collider, you're getting the good stuff today. Reynolds is running it at the mouth.
So it's pretty safe to say Daredevil and Ghost Rider were both supposed to be in this movie, but Ryan Reynolds and the team decided to move in a different direction. But what's truly mind-blowing about this concept art isn't just the missed cameos, but the epic scale of the battle depicted, because in the movie it's just Deadpool and Wolverine against the entire Deadpool Corps. However, this early concept illustration shows a much larger fight, featuring Elektra, Blade, and Johnny Storm alongside Wade and Logan. This means that in the film's original version, these characters were all set to exit the Void and join the battle and fight the Deadpool Corps. And had things stayed as they were, Johnny Storm would have never met his grisly fate at the hands of Cassandra Nova. He needed to survive the Void to take part in this grand showdown. But I guess things changed over time, and we eventually got the final cut where Johnny met with his untimely demise. But it's also possible that perhaps in the early stages, the fight against the Deadpool Corps would have taken place in the Void itself. Therefore, we see all these additional heroes here. And if we focus on some of the Deadpool variants from the Deadpool Corps, notice there's a Deadpool dinosaur aka T-Rex pool and a squirrel Deadpool aka Squirrel Pool from the comics. Now let's jump to the concept art that was actually depicted in the movie, and it was made by John Staub. Here we can see this bus in the background, which we saw in the movie. Multiple Deadpool variants stabbed, wounded, or decapitated. We can also see Lady Deadpool, Baby Pool, and Cowboy Pool here, who were missing in the early concept. But in both versions, Wolverine has his mask on. So no matter what, it was always planned that Wolverine will don his signature mask in this fight. Now here's what I think about all of this. Although this concept art looks absolutely insane, but I'm actually happier with the movie as it turned out. Why, you ask? Well, Daredevil Born Again is just around the corner, and having an older Daredevil show up now might be a bit too much, no matter how epic that might have been. Sure, we had Wesley Snipes' Blade making an appearance in this film, and a new Blade movie is on the horizon, but who knows when that movie will actually hit theaters. By the time Mahershala Ali's Blade comes out, Snipes' cameo will be old news. As for Ben Affleck's Daredevil, I think skipping his return was a solid choice, especially since his absence made Deadpool's joke 1,000 times better. But Ghost Rider, oh man, I would have lost my shit if Nick Cage appeared in the movie. And that's a problem, because his presence might have stolen the spotlight from Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, and could have been the only thing the audience talks about. And you definitely don't want that, especially when an actor like Hugh Jackman is coming back to reprise his role after 7 years. And if you pay attention to the whole Deadpool Corps fight in the movie, the camera consistently focuses on Wade and Logan, not the Deadpool Corps. So it's pretty clear whatever they were thinking in the early stages, but in the final cut, their ultimate goal was to only focus on these two characters, not the other way around. And Johnny surviving the Void would have never given us an opportunity to see Chris Evans go call out like that in the post-credit scene. So yes, the concept art was even more insane than the final cut, but the final cut of Deadpool and Wolverine is just perfect, and you can't top that. Another cameo that didn't make it in the final script was of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Both writers, Reese and Wernick, confirmed that RDJ as Tony Stark was initially supposed to appear in the meeting between Wade and Happy. Wernick said, and I quote, "We wanted him to do a cameo. We had written that scene with Happy and Downey." And Reese said Ryan Reynolds wrote this scene with both of them, so in the hopes we could get Downey. But he also wanted Favreau because they're a great combo, and they were all in the scene together. But behind the scenes, we didn't know about Dr. Doom, and there's no way he was going to do both. Reese continued saying, I mean look, we'd have loved to have Downey, but at the same time I think Marvel had this ace in their hole, which is he's about to come back in this different character. So to have him be Tony Stark, knowing that Dr. Doom was coming on the heels of that, it just didn't make sense. So RDJ's cameo was the only one that didn't happen due to a refusal. And he even read the script and said no, which at the time the writers didn't understand exactly why. Plus, it's likely that Kevin Feige had a say in it too, keeping Robert Downey Jr.'s grand return reserved for the Fantastic Four First Steps and Avengers Doomsday. Had RDJ not returned as Dr. Doom, we would have certainly gotten a cameo of Tony Stark in this meeting, and that's why I'd like to know your opinion on this. Would you have preferred the Tony Stark cameo, or do you prefer RDJ returning as Dr. Doom? Let me know in the comments. By the way, this actually validates my point that Nicolas Cage's absence wasn't due to him saying no, but rather because the team decided to take the story in a different direction. Because Reese clearly stated that RDJ was the only actor who said no, while everyone else, including Henry Cavill, was an enthusiastic yes. Alright lads, in 5 days I'll be releasing my part 2 breakdown of Deadpool and Wolverine. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, then please do. I'm working my ass off to make these videos worth your time. Trust me, by the time I've uploaded all 3 parts, you'll end up loving this movie even more than you could ever imagine. I'll see you lads in 5 days.
Suck it, Fox. I'm going to Disneyland.